Joseph Salvatore Merlino, widely known as Joey Merlino, was born on March 13, 1962, in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was raised in a close-knit Sicilian-American family with deep roots in the Italian-American community, particularly in the neighborhoods of South Philadelphia known for their ties to organized crime. Growing up in a neighborhood where mob activity was prevalent, Merlino was exposed to the Mafia lifestyle from a young age. His father, Salvatore "Chucky" Merlino, was rumored to have connections to the Philadelphia crime family, which undoubtedly influenced Joey's upbringing and early exposure to the world of organized crime. As a teenager, Merlino was already known for his street smarts and assertive demeanor. He quickly became involved in petty crimes and illicit activities, aligning himself with local mobsters and aspiring to climb the ranks within the Philadelphia crime family. Merlino's involvement in criminal activities escalated during his late teens and early 20s. He participated in various illegal ventures, including extortion, illegal gambling, and drug trafficking, all of which were lucrative sources of income for organized crime figures in Philadelphia. Despite his young age, Merlino earned a reputation for his fearless attitude and willingness to resort to violence when necessary. He was known to frequent social clubs and hangouts where mobsters congregated, establishing himself as a rising star within the criminal underworld of Philadelphia. Merlino's early years were marked by brushes with law enforcement, including arrests for minor offenses. However, his charisma and ability to navigate the complex social dynamics of organized crime circles allowed him to gain the trust of influential mob figures. By his early 20s, Merlino had established himself as a formidable presence within the Philadelphia crime family. His ambition, street smarts, and knack for generating profits positioned him as a rising star within the organization, paving the way for his eventual ascension to the pinnacle of power within the Philly mob. His journey from a street-level enforcer to a prominent leader within the Philadelphia Mafia illustrates his complex character, fiercely loyal to his allies, ruthlessly aggressive toward his enemies, and always keenly aware of opportunities to expand his influence. He aligned himself with young mobsters who shared his ambition and vision for the future of the organization, forming a faction that would later challenge the existing leadership for control of the family. Merlino's rise was influenced by his relationship with Nicky Scarfo, the ruthless boss of the Philadelphia crime family in the 1980s. Scarfo's reign was marked by extreme violence and a strict code of loyalty, elements that Merlino seemed to adopt and adapt in his own leadership style. While Merlino learned the inner workings of the mob under Scarfo's tutelage, he also witnessed the consequences of Scarfo's tyrannical approach, which ultimately led to dissent within the ranks and Scarfo's eventual imprisonment. The early 1990s were a period of significant upheaval within the Philadelphia crime family, largely due to the power vacuum left by the incarceration of Scarfo and several of his top lieutenants. This instability set the stage for what would become known as the Philadelphia Mob War, a violent conflict between rival factions vying for control of the organization. Merlino and his faction found themselves pitted against those loyal to John Stanfer, the acting boss of the Philadelphia crime family. The war was brutal, resulting in numerous shootings, bombings, and casualties on both sides. Merlino's boldness and strategic acumen during this period were pivotal. Despite being targeted in assassination attempts, including a notable shooting in which he was wounded and his friend was killed, Merlino's resolve only strengthened. His ability to survive and retaliate against attacks solidified his reputation as a formidable and fearless leader. By the mid-1990s, the tide of the mob war had turned in Merlino's favor, thanks in part to his relentless pursuit of power, strategic elimination of rivals, and the support of his loyal faction. With Stanfer's eventual arrest and conviction on racketeering charges, Merlino emerged as the de facto leader of the Philadelphia crime family. His leadership marked a new era for the Philly mob, as Merlino sought to modernize the family's operations and expand into new territories and ventures. Under Merlino's leadership, the Philadelphia crime family sought to diversify its criminal activities, venturing into modern enterprises while maintaining its grip on traditional rackets such as gambling, loan sharking, and extortion. He was also known for his efforts to maintain a degree of public visibility, occasionally rubbing shoulders with celebrities and making appearances at high-profile events, which was a departure from the low-profile discretion traditionally maintained by mob bosses. This visibility was a double-edged sword, adding to his notoriety but also making him a more visible target for law enforcement. Throughout his reign as boss, Merlino faced numerous legal challenges, including charges of racketeering, illegal gambling, loan sharking, and even murder. His strategy against these legal battles was as high profile as his public life. He employed top defense lawyers and often personally engaged with the media, portraying himself as a victim of a law enforcement system that was biased against Italian Americans. Despite multiple indictments, Merlino managed to evade conviction on the most serious charges for years, serving shorter sentences that allowed him to maintain his influence over the family. One of the most significant legal battles Merlino faced was the 2001 federal racketeering trial, where he was accused of a range of crimes, including murder, drug trafficking, and extortion. The trial was a media spectacle, with Merlino maintaining his innocence and alleging government persecution. Ultimately, he was acquitted of the most severe charges, but was convicted on several lesser charges, including illegal bookmaking and receiving stolen property, which resulted in a 14-year prison sentence. Following his release, there were various reports about his involvement, or lack thereof, with organized crime. Some sources suggest that Merlino sought a quieter life away from the activities that had previously defined his existence, focusing instead on legitimate businesses and endeavors. Merlino's name continues to surface occasionally in conversations about the Philadelphia mob, reflecting his lasting influence and the enduring fascination with his persona. Despite the speculations and occasional rumors about his current involvement in criminal activities, there hasn't been concrete evidence to suggest his active participation in the Mafia as of the last reports. The story of Joey Merlino is emblematic of the enduring legacy of organized crime in America, illustrating both the allure and the pitfalls of life in the mob. His journey from a young man, immersed in the world of organized crime, to the alleged boss of the Philadelphia crime family, followed by years of legal battles and incarceration, captures the volatile nature of such a life. Whether Merlino has truly stepped away from the world that once defined him remains a matter of speculation. However, his story remains a compelling chapter in the history of organized crime, serving as a reminder of the complexities and challenges of leaving behind a life once deeply entrenched in the Mafia. In conclusion, Joey Merlino's current activities, as publicly known, suggest a man who has moved on from his past, living a life that is markedly different from his days as a reputed mob boss. Yet, the shadow of his former life continues to loom large, not just over him, but also over the narrative of organized crime in Philadelphia and beyond.